Live.
And welcome to October 2025 Committee of the Whole and a special council meeting to follow. All members of our council are present and there is a quorum. The meeting is being held in person and is also being live streamed on Facebook. I'd like to acknowledge the members of the public that are present here tonight and those that are listening online. We appreciate the diverse population that we have living in Middleton. The first order of board business is the approval of the agenda.
Move the committee a whole approve the agenda as amended. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. An approval of the minutes. Did anyone see anything that was needed to be corrected or? If not, minutes are approved. And 4.1 is Valley Red, Emily Bouchard, and you've got the floor.
I've also brought my colleague Adam Champion, we're gonna give you a little bit of a demo on Guru. Do you want us to stand up? Does that help, or sitting down easier for on camera?
What, whatever,
Doesn't
doesn't matter, whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Stand up. Okay. Thanks.
What's the time limit we're giving you for this?
Oh, yeah, you should tell me that in advance. That's why I brought Adam, to be honest. John knows I always.
I think
go
it's
first.
10
minutes.
minutes, and
We can
then
do
five,
that.
five for questions.
Yeah.
Because Adam's gonna do most of the talk. I just wanted to thank you all who attended our joint council session on September 17th on the marketing levy. So I just wanted to say thanks for that engagement piece there and coming out to the Old Orchard Inn for that. Today, noting that we only have 10 minutes at a time for each council presentation, I wanted to highlight our site selector tool, also known as Guru, which is basically a land and asset database that we've developed on behalf of the region as an investment readiness and investment attraction tool to help site selectors, businesses grow, select commercial property, land, that sort of thing, but also highlight the immense amount of data that comes with that and how we can help improve, make business decisions here across the region. So I also wanted to highlight one of the reasons I wanted to bring Adam, who's our Business Now navigator. He oversees Guru, and we will actually be launching a Guru enhancement committee with members of our municipal partners, as well as GIS folks and members of the Nova Scotia Realty Association, where we do have a partnership with them. I'm gonna hand it over to Adam to actually go through the tool. I just wanna make sure our municipal partners know that we have this tool accessible for all of you, that we encourage you to use it as well as other economic development officers across our entire catchment, as well as businesses in our region. And then we also work closely with folks like Invest Nova Scotia to use it as part of their investment attraction initiatives. So I'm gonna hand it over to Adam. At any time during this session, but I will say at any time, Adam can come and do a demo for you. Please leverage the tool. So Ashley, for example, if you and your team are doing a grant and want information on up-to-date stats, that's what our tool's for. So please feel free to reach out, and we encourage you to leverage this tool as much as possible. So Adam, I'll hand it over to you to do the demo.
Thanks, Emily, and good evening, everybody. If you've been in downtown Middleton a couple months ago, back in the summer, you may have seen me bouncing around from business to business. And what I was doing that day was I was going and talking to business owners and trying to introduce this tool to them. So, you know, my main reason for being there and going into those businesses was to make use of their air conditioning because it was so hot back in the summer. But other than that, I was introducing them to this tool, which is what I want to do for you today. But more importantly, I want to talk about how the data that it provides is so important in economics. So let's go to the next slide, please.
Maybe.
I want to talk about why local data matters so much in economic development. And the first reason is that it allows us to be more investment ready. So it allows us to back up those investment readiness claims with good data. Allows us to identify regions that are already primed for investment and also to identify any future opportunities for investment. Also allows us to back up any investment traction efforts with data and really help us to make that case for why this region is the region we're so or where someone should set up their business. And finally, it also allows us to back up those business decisions with data, allows us to make more confident business decisions. So one of the tools that we have available to help us with local data is called a site selector tool. But how does a site selector tool highlight that local data? One of the ways it does that is it provides that data all in one place, which is super important. So if you're looking for an opportunity in this area, you're not having to search through StatsCan data tables, you're not having to go to municipal reports, it's all there, it's all convenient there. It allows our region to make a good first impression because the data is just there and available for anybody who's looking for an opportunity. And it shows that our region is open for business because we've actually took that time to invest in economic development. That goes to the next slide, please. Thank you. So who uses the site selector tool? There is a clue in the name. Site selectors do use the site selector tool. And for those who don't know, site selectors are professional consultants that determine the best locations for a business to operate by providing expertise in strategy and data analysis. And so site selectors especially need access to that data to provide that service to their clients. And in fact, they'll often scan areas to try and find that data. And if they're not able to immediately find that data, they may move on before economic development officers are even made aware. So important for them to have that available. And so effectively targeting site selectors does really drive business attraction. But it's not just site selectors who benefit from this tool. Economic development officers can use that same data to leverage for their projects that they take on behalf of the region. Municipal staff can do the same thing with any local programming. Property developers can look at that data and decide, stuff about the current investments and the developments or future developments. And also any local and new businesses that are looking to expand or relocate to the area get access to all that data to make those decisions as to whether this is the right place for them as well. And on the flip side of that, local businesses and property owners that are looking to sell benefit from access to these site selectors as well as economic development professionals. Can I go to the next slide? Thank you. So we do have a site selector tool that's available. It's freely available, free to access via the Valley Grant website. And you can use it to inform business decisions. So it gives you access to property data, infrastructure data, zoning data, demographic data, workforce data, and much more. It's a map-based tool, so it uses geographic information software, so GIS, to visualize that data. And you can annotate maps, take measurements, buildings, all kinds of cool stuff. But it's also an opportunity to list and to find available commercial property within our region. Next one, please. So this is just to give you an overview of what the tool can do. So we can add layers onto the data here. So this is an example of forest data. I'm not sure if all of the layers are going to come up here, but we can have all kinds of things like I mentioned. So zoning, we can have quality of life assets, all kinds of data that anybody looking to, for an opportunity here in the valley can add that data on top of the layers.
The Department of Agriculture is using our tool here in the valley for with their business officer and their business development initiatives, just for some insight on how some folks are doing that.
And it's important to know that we can create custom layers for this as well. So we're constantly iterating this tool and making it better, adding more data to it as well. So anything that's important to you, we can look into to see if we have that data, we can add it to the tool here. So if I can go to the next slide. You can also use the tool to find things like workforce data and demographic data. So that's separated out, in this case, by the different sector codes. But demographic data as well. So if you're looking to know the populations, like the age of your population, whether they're housed or they're renting, that kind of stuff. So that all gets put into the tool, and you can create heat maps to show all that data in a nice way as well. If I can just go to the next slide. Let's go that one here. There you go. Yeah, so once you get that demographic data, populates it onto the map, so you get a nice visual representation of where your population are and what they're doing, which can be helpful to make those kinds of decisions. go to the next. I think, this was a video in the original presentation, but you can make reports and you can generate custom reports from all of that data that we're doing. Which is really useful because it tabulates everything for you, creates nice graphs. Again, you're not having to pull all this information from various different sources and making it all that stuff. You can also generate property brochures as well. So if there's someone who may be interested in a property that's in town, you can generate something that has all of that data and all of the useful information for them to decide if that's the right property for them. Next one. Thank you. Another cool thing that it allows you to do, it uses GIS software, as I mentioned, so you can make annotations, you can take measurements. So for example, here, if you wanted to measure how much space you have in the parking lot, or if you wanted to measure how much of a setback you have to the shoreline, that's just a overhead wall fill there. You can do all of that within the tool. And ultimately, that's important because someone who's looking for a place to set up a business doesn't have to physically on site to do that. So they can take some of those measurements and save themselves time and effort doing something. I have a nice video that shows this, but we can also add 3D building renderings onto these properties as well. That's something that we can do as a for this tool. So if there's a site selector or a property developer, we can add all kinds of different 3D buildings onto that site to really show off what that site might be good for. And the final thing is that it allows you to find and list commercial properties. So on the left-hand side there, you can see the menu. Users can scroll through all of those different properties, very much like a real estate kind of website. They can favorite them, they can come to them later and get all of the information about those properties that they need. Next slide, please.
Well, that's where I'm,
Okay.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, I was saying, if you have any questions for Adam, Adam's a member of our team. He's available to all of our municipal partners. So if at any time you have any questions about that tool, want to leverage it, you have businesses in the community who may not have contacted us directly already, encourage them, send them to Adam because he's there to provide support for that.
I suppose the other thing I should say is that if you happen to know anyone who is looking to buy, sell, or lease commercial space, please put them in touch with me or with us because we'd like to. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have one quick minute left? I know I tend to go over time. I will do this
Sure,
fast. Thank
we
you.
trust you.
Thank you. I just wanted to do a few fall highlights. I don't think we had any folks from council attending our September 23rd business retention expansion session, but we're available at any time to highlight that we are going to be launching BREE, which is a diagnostics tool. This is an in-depth interview process with businesses across our catchment. It gives us a better understanding and analysis of current business conditions. We know there's a lot of barriers. We couldn't ask for more barriers right now to business growth. So this allows us to triage accordingly and provide data to our region across our catchment, but also locally with our municipal partners. So I wanted to highlight that that's underway. We did an initial launch session on September 23rd, but we'll be working with our municipal partners to connect with businesses and develop action teams to support business outreach. Immigration and Community Fair. Sarah, I actually have some material here for the municipality. Is November 1st. We do have booths available for each of our municipal partners. Last year we held our inaugural event and we had 230 attendees. 40 to 50 of those were actually from Middleton, which based on population size is one of the highest rates. So we have significant engagement from newcomer talent in Middleton engaging in these kind of events. So just wanted to highlight that. We encourage you to attend if you're available. There is an Eventbrite link in our newsletter that actually went out last week, but it's also on our website and socials. We will be hosting a regional multi-sector CEO summit at the end of November. And that's again really to bring together regional leaders to focus on regional cohesiveness and really strengthening our region as a regional entity with a business force. Council and community connections. We're going to be doing open house town hall sessions with our municipalities to highlight our programs and services. So we're aiming to do 2 in each of our municipal regions across the catchment. So beginning November into January, so you will be getting a doodle poll from us to highlight when for council, the best timing is, but also for our community and business partners, when the best time is for us to come and host those sessions. So that was just the highlights that are coming up. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out at any time. We're here to support you. Thank you. That was pretty good for time.
You were better.
I better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. Did anybody have any questions of our presenters?
Only, you're doing the Bree. Bree in Annapolis County in Middleton, was started 15 years ago, by Adida, and then they did about 5 years of that before they folded. I don't know if they can even have access to that information or if it's even available, but it may be, not that so much that it's gonna be a particular value, but it might give you a comparison. If you're redoing Bree through the area, what it was 10, 15 years ago, you know, you've got something there. I don't know whether or not you have access to that or not.
Unfortunately, most of the data with the RDAs we don't have access to. We have some of our staff actually were with the RDAs back in the day. So we do have some data, but not a full array of data that would provide a full-on comparison. But that's a great question.
Is Dan still around? Dan?
Yeah.
He's the one who usually did the brief for data.
Yeah, it's the actual data that we don't have.
I was saying he may know where it is or how to get hold of it.
That's a question I'll ask.
He was working for, now for Visit
Ventures.
Ventures,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if he's still there.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
I'm
it.
sure we'll see you again.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. See ya.
5.1, 2, and 3 are three proclamations that I will read tonight. The very first one is Mi'kmaq History Month, October 2025. Whereas the government of Nova Scotia recognizes the Mi'kmaq have the inherent right to self-government within Canada, and whereas the province of Nova Scotia and Mi'kmaq Nation recognize their mutual need to live in peace and friendship in accordance with the spirit of their treaty and nation-to-nation relationship. And whereas the government of Nova Scotia recognizes all treaties which were signed in good faith between the Crown and the Mi'kmaq. And that whereas the province requires Scotia and the Mi'kmaq Nation recognize that their mutual peace and friendship require public awareness of the history, values, and the diversity of cultures. And whereas the government of Nova Scotia and the Mi'kmaq Nation wish to promote public awareness for all citizens of Nova Scotia. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Gail Smith, Mayor of the town of Middleton, do hereby proclaim October 2025 to be observed as Mi'kmaq History Month in the town of Middleton. And the second one is a proclamation for the Disability Employment Awareness Month. Whereas October is recognized as Disability Employment Awareness Month, and whereas the purpose of Disability Employment Awareness Month is to celebrate the contributions of people with disabilities to our workforce, employers that are committed to creating inclusive workplaces. And whereas the town of Middleton encourages all residents to celebrate Disability Employment Awareness by organizing awareness events and hosting activities to promote the contributions of people with disabilities to our community, businesses, and organization. And whereas everyone takes time to become informed of their contributions and of the laws surrounding accessibility and employment equity. Therefore, I, Gail Smith, Mayor of the town of Middleton, do hereby proclaim October 1st to 31st, 2025 as Disability Employment Awareness Month in the town of Middleton. And our third and final one is Fire Prevention Week. Whereas in the town of Middleton is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting Middleton. And whereas fire remains in serious public safety concern both locally and nationally. And the presence of lithium batteries in many household devices introduce unique fire risk. And whereas most of the electronics used in homes daily, including smartphones, tablets, laptops, power tools, e-bikes, and toys, are powered by lithium batteries, which, if misused, damaged, or improperly charged, can overheat and start a fire or explode. And whereas the fire service reports an increase in battery-related fires, underscoring the need to public education on the safe use of lithium batteries. And whereas lithium batteries store a large amount of energy in a small space, and improper use such as overcharging, using off-brand chargers without safety certification, or exposing batteries to damage can result in fire of an explosion. And whereas the Middleton Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of fires through prevention, safety education, and community outreach. And whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge into Fire Safely, lithium batteries in your home, serves to remind us of the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium batteries safely to reduce the risk of fires in homes and communities. Therefore, I, Gail Smith, Mayor of Middleton, the town of Middleton, do hereby proclaim October 5th to 11th, 2025 as Fire Prevention Week. And I urge all residents of Middleton to check their smoke alarms, learn of the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium batteries safely during Fire Prevention Week 2025. That's good. So at this point, this is anything by citizens. Did anybody see or did anybody write anything?
I didn't get anything written by noon today, but.
Okay, so,
I apologize, I did not email them in. I'm a very unorganized person.
that's okay.
I'm really glad that, the Valley Arian or Bren was here. My main reason for being here is because Cinnamon Creek's closed and I said, oh my God, that's a penny. That's a big retail business in town that's shutting down. Find it concerning. People come in and they get flowers and say, you know, take me 15 minutes, go to Cinnamon Creek, or they go over there, they get the giftware. Then they come over to me and get flowers or plants or whatever. So it is, I find it concerning, and I did send the town a Facebook message the other day. And the response I got was, I was concerned, there's a lot of empty commercial spaces on Commercial Street. That's up for rent or for sale. My building's been for sale for about probably 2 years. And the town responded and said that you guys are part of the Valley Run, and they have a database of available spaces, whether it be, I guess, for rent or for sale. The other part is to help with economic development. I guess one of my questions is, like, when was the last time that there was success filling a space through this? Through that?
To the economic development
Yeah.
or?
Or you mean rent?
The rent, like, if that was the response that I got, because I said, like, is the town concerned that you're losing this business, and concerned about all these empty spaces for retail, especially on Commercial Street? You know, that was the response I got, that it was just like, oh, well, we have it up on this website that there's spaces available. Like, when was the last time that there was success through that venue that filled up a space?
Oh, I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I could, so we were having a bit of a conversation before you came in about the exact same thing where I was, because obviously I'm concerned. The Cinnamon Creek is owned by the Lowry Group.
Building.
The building's owned.
Yeah, building, sorry, the building's owned. So, you know, with Valley Ren, if they didn't, if say the Lowry Group didn't advertise that space with them, or, and by advertise, I mean, let them know that it's empty. I don't think it costs anything for them to advertise. Then, they wouldn't put it in there because it just wouldn't be something that was asked for. I have the same concern, as a business owner in town. I think council has worked towards trying to get development in town, which would, you know, housing and whatnot, which would then help with businesses wanting to move here. I mean, we have a bistro that's been empty for over a year now. But again, that's not even up for sale at this point. That's just a banquet possession. And then there's a few spaces, as you noticed, but some of them are, I don't know if a lot of them are advertised, to be honest. Like, you know, you see a sign in the window on two of them that I can think of walking down Commercial Street. And honestly, I don't know what's moved in Middleton the last little while, but I know as a business owner and as a counselor, I have the same concern.
Actually, we all have the same.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, no,
You know,
doubt.
because, and I don't know what I don't know, like, I guess, you know, we used Ren, but somebody has to come to them to say,
Exactly.
you know, there's somebody, you know, we've got this for rent, somebody looking for that.
And how successful has Valley Rent been with, you know, the turnover and finding people using their resources? How successful have they been? I think that's part of the question too, is that, is that the answer? Are there other communities, other avenues within James Spring business and like that? I don't know. Maybe there's other people.
Yes, as a town, one of the biggest things that I've gotten back is feedback trying to sell my building. Obviously, it is in the condition that it is, and it's priced for the condition. But other than that, one of the biggest things is the property tax. And I know I've been here 9.5 years. I'll be the first to admit, I pay that bill late every single time because it's astronomical. It is so high. And I struggle being in business here to pay that bill. And it's been one of the biggest deterrents in trying to sell my building. Has the town considered like a tax incentive for people coming in to purchase commercial property, even for tax break for 6 months? Or is that something that's feasible, or like something of current plans? I know, as you mentioned, like housing, as far as I've heard and gotten a little bit of information, so there's quite a few rumors going around. These are 5 to 10 year projects. That, like, is there anything that's current that?
Well, the biggest current one right now is the apartment building down the road that's gonna bring in 38 units, I believe it is. I mean, in a town like Middleton, and we should have a lot more, don't get me wrong, but we probably haven't seen a development permit like that in many years, right? And then, of course, there's, you know, what we've done a secondary plan for it. Certainly that could take 5 years or more. I would say that's probably a good estimate, you know, if it goes forward.
So one of the things though is there's the housing developments, which is important. But that's not a direct economic development initiative that the town is taking on. And I think they are two separate things. The town does not, to my knowledge, do an awful lot other than with the REN. In terms of direct economic initiatives, or call it economic development. We had an economic development officer for a year. We had one meeting with her. I'm not sure if they accomplished anything with that. Economic development is part of our strategic plan. We all thought about it. We all agreed on that. We're a year into our mandate. It might be kind of time we start doing some initiatives on that. I was going to bring up an idea at the next council. It is probably not a bad idea for the town to have an economic development council. Same way we have an audit committee or whatever you want to have it. That would include counselors, members of the business community, members of the local public on economic initiatives so we can start getting going. I mean, we've got to actually start doing something on the economic front. We've got some stuff going on the housing front, but that's part of it. We've got to do, I know it's not something we have a lot of background in, but it's got to be something we got to actually start working on.
Yeah, the issue is that we don't have the staff capacity to do economic development. That's why it's never been done in this town. There's no staff to do it. So if we're going to do something like that, we need to figure out how to bring somebody in that has that knowledge and ability, whether it's a consultant or a temp staff or something to get something going. Because I don't have any staff that can do that. The staff that Councilor Archibald was talking about that we had for almost a year was somebody that we had through a grant program that we applied for jointly with the town of Annapolis Royal and County of Annapolis. And we did apply again for a different grant to try to get somebody on for 3 years, and we didn't get the grant. So we do have it in our strategic plan that council just approved in July-ish timeframe. So when we start budget, we're already in October, so when we start looking at budget conversations soon, we need to start talking about what we're gonna do with that initiative, because Right now, like unfortunately, we are kind of relying on the Valley Run to do our economic development. Like not all of it, but whatever they can do, because I don't have any staff that can do that. So that's kind of the biggest challenge. But yeah, I think like everybody around the table has said, it's a concern of all of us. Yeah.
Yes,
Can we strike a committee, committee of council to at least start some discussion about?
But there still has to be a staff
yeah, has to be-
person that does.
Takes the minutes and all that stuff, yeah.
yes, Councilor Smith.
Just to address your idea of tax incentives. There's two challenges to that I see. One being, we don't have a lot of extra taxes kicking around that we can forego to incentivize people coming to town. And then it also would not be fair to the existing businesses in town if we're financially rewarding new business coming to town when they've been here for 10, 15, 20 years as well, still paying the higher rate of tax. I think a lower commercial tax rate for everybody would be a more equitable way of making us more attractive. But I don't think you'll ever see specific financial incentives to bring somebody into the Cinnamon Creek building or to your building or next door to my building, for instance. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood why that might not be the best idea. But commercial taxes are always a challenge, there's no question of that. Unfortunately, small town rural Nova Scotia is an economic challenge for residents, commercial, and everybody else.
Yes.
So Sabrina, you and I see each other on a fairly regular basis, and I think all the council is concerned with economic development, especially those of us on council that are business owners. And I too struggle with when we sit down budget time and we set our commercial rates, you know, we all kind of struggle with that. But having some empty commercial spaces in town is concerning to all of us. But one question I'd like to ask is, from the rent, they should be able to provide some data over the last 5 years of how have they helped, you know, entrepreneurs or new people in their business retention program, or who was reached out. I guess my question is, how many, I'd like to see some data of how many contacts they've had, even just the last few years, 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, and how they navigated, you know, economic development in this portion of the valley.
Right.
Well, I
and
don't have the answer to that.
No, I don't know if they do either, but that would be, you know, cause you see other towns getting new businesses in them.
Right.
And we don't have any, so I don't know why that is. I wish I did. And, you know, it'd be really nice to employ an economic developer here in the town, but like, once again, we're living on a shoestring with the taxes that we get. And to give the services that everybody wants in the town. Nobody's really willing to give up some snow plowing on their street until the next day, so it's really makes it difficult, and we have to make some very, very tough choices. You know, and you know, like Dan said, it would be really, really nice to, you know, give an incentive of tax break. But if you, like he said, you can't give it to one without giving it to all. So it's something that we're looking at budget time. And hopefully, like I said, maybe we can get some data from the rent, John.
I'm sure we can.
You know, and just find out, has anybody come to them and said, look, I see these properties are in Middleton, like, do you think I could set up I don't know, whatever. Yes, Councilor.
So I'm sort of feeding with the deputy mayor's comments. I was listening to this guru presentation, and I actually kind of grimaced when I'm hearing about it, because if we're looking at this regional approach that includes Kings County with 100,000 people and a lot more commercial activity already, I'm not so sure that we're going to come out on a favorable side of any site selector analysis. That may support my previous comments of whether Ren is going to be the right avenue for us when we need a more locally focused economic development push to highlight the empty spaces or opportunities that we have here, as opposed to being in competition with people or businesses or opportunities that are only 20, 30 kilometers down the road.
Yes,
The other thing with Ren, it's been, they seem to be getting some wind in their sails now, but it's been a bit of an issue in past years that, and we don't commit a lot of money to Ren, but we don't tend to see them down here doing much. It's been a complaint of council and the business community for quite some time type thing. Kind of thing. So reaching out as council and say, listen, we've got an issue going on down here. We're going to need some help. Might not be an unreasonable thing.
Counselor.
So my comment to all that would be, you have to want to move to Middleton to have a business in Middleton. You know, so regardless of the tool, because I remember when I first bought my pub and I had to use all that same data points as a business plan. And I had to go through Statistics Canada and all that stuff. And at the time, Middleton probably looked better as a place to come, at least the business that I was buying did. But people have to want to move here to open a business and start a business and run a business. That means they have to have, you know, that's why I believe that housing's important. And all these other things are important, recreational facilities, you know, our schools are important, you know, when people look at why they want to move to Middleton. I've had the same argument with, when I look at immigration and how all the immigration is going to healthcare, but healthcare doesn't live in a bubble. If our restaurants can't stay open, if our facilities can't stay open because they can't find staff and they can't, you know, so immigration's important. You know, it's much more than just saying, hey, we're going to employ an economic development officer, because I will say that last economic development officer, never once did I ever see her. And I had 2 businesses in town and was operating 4, but I'd never ever seen her. And I got 1 misdirected piece of mail from her. And a presentation here where she used that same site selector tool as part of her presentation.
But if the site selection opportunities are more narrowly focused, as opposed to just saying Annapolis Valley, then we have a better chance of selling ourselves against less competition than opening it up.
Well, and the tool is for, you can pick many parts of Annapolis or Kings and Annapolis County, even parts of Annapolis County that aren't part of Valley Run.
That's my point.
Yeah, but you can also zoom in on just Middleton if somebody's just wanting Middleton. But you don't think we don't do that? If people or businesses that are gonna move to the area don't do that due diligence anyways?
I don't know the answer to that, but thank you,
When
John.
I moved.
John is a member of the Ren.
I'm the liaison and oversight committee
Oh, okay.
chair as part of council.
Oh, okay.
So I'm the council.
Okay. And I know you probably say, well, we didn't really get much from them, but, you know, right now we're doing the best we can, and, you know, I appreciate you coming tonight, and, you know, it's nice to know that, you know, you do.
And honestly, like I haven't been to this on here for 9.5 years. and
Yeah.
I'm not involved, but I don't know any of the goings on. I didn't even know that you were allowed to come to the town meetings. I was like, I'm coming. And I truly find myself quite overwhelmed with my own plate most often.
Yeah,
But I really do find it concerning that, like, and at Cinnamon Creek, we can't say like you have to stay here forever.
no, I know.
But,
Well, she's been in business for 20 years, so.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
and it's just concerning, like, since I've been here, we've lost a lot of things
Yeah.
on Commercial Street, and like,
Good things.
I know ourselves, like, even when I bought the store, we didn't buy a house in town, because for the same amount of property in the same house, it was like $5,000 a year for property tax, and we moved to South Farmington, and it was like $1,600 for property tax. The only reason that we bought in town is because I'm gonna live above the flower shop, and that's our goal that we're trying to get to, and we're having another baby, and we're trying to grow, and we want Middleton to grow too, but it's scary that I don't really see it, and having housing in 10 years doesn't make it less scary,
You
you
know,
know?
But you just identified one of the benefits of living in town as opposed to South Farmington. South Farmington's a wonderful place, your neighbors were absolutely fantastic, my parents.
oh, my
Um, But you didn't have to drive into Middleton you don't have to drive into Middleton every day now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is all kinds of benefits right
Yeah,
there,
and-
and you can walk to the grocery store and all the things that the town lifestyle
And we
provides.
see it, like, I'm 4-year-old now, and we walk to school every morning, we walk to the library, we walk to the splash pad, we utilize a lot of those things. And it is wonderful, and I see that, but
But that's,
we need other people to
that's,
See that.
things and,
Right.
you know, so it's like, how is the town working toward, besides the Valley Red, and what are they doing,
Right.
you know, is it,
that's the difference in your property taxes from South Farmington to Middleton.
yeah,
The fact that you can not have to drive and you can walk to facility A, B, C, D, and E, right? You're not gonna save money by living in town, you're just paying it a different way.
Yeah.
Because we have to provide all of those things.
and I've definitely, it's been 9.5 years, I've come to terms with, this is a freaking high bill that I struggle to pay, but I eventually pay it.
Yeah.
It gets paid eventually, but like, you know, other people, like I said, my buildings went for sale for almost 2 years, and that's been a deterrent for other people, you know, so it's like, what can we do to make those people less scared to come and buy things here?
Yeah, and then the property tax is higher, you say we have these benefits to go to A, B, and C, but what if we don't have A, B, and C to go to and walk to, because,
You'll always have the grocery store, the schools, and the splash pad.
of course, yeah.
Right,
Which are known to be great, and you guys are doing development on the housing, which is amazing, so
Right.
that's hopefully gonna help, but. If people wanna come in, they wanna go to a little coffee shop, and you like go to these places and say, well, maybe we'll go to Kingston, and. Cause there's a few little places we can go to, or somewhere else, just if they're picking a place to live kind of thing, so.
It would be, even a coffee shop, and I know coffee shops have struggled, there's been a couple since I've been here. But I even think about my business and my sales. Between pickup orders and walk-in customers, it's 29% of my sales. Out of that, walk-in customers is only 12%. Like, there's not,
Traffic.
like, we need more traffic going up
Yeah.
Commercial Street, you know what I mean? And like, we do sales, we throw rose petals out most days, put sidewalk signs, we've got lots of signs in our window, like. I mean, I don't know what else to do to kind of incentivize people to come in. You know, sometimes you'll even get like the random husband who's not like, come here. But, you know, or is this the bookstore? And I don't have any books.
I got flowers.
Yeah, but like, you know, it would be nice to see that 12%
Right.
grow, right? Because, you know, the people in town are generally supportive, but, you know, sometimes it's not.
We certainly need a reason for people to come
Yeah,
to town, and
yeah.
Well,
when you
the-
mentioned coffee shop, the only reason the coffee shop closed down when I owned it was not because we weren't getting business, but because I couldn't find staff.
Yeah, and that,
And that's why I've closed down 3 places. So, and I will always, or as much as I can, support Valley Brand, because that's one area where they have tried to support businesses big time, and they have helped me out immensely in keeping my current business going, and at least providing me with different avenues and different tools that I can try to use to encourage people to come and work. The answer is not just one answer, I don't think. It comes from housing, you know, because we need people here, we need that foot traffic, as you say. We need that ability for people to walk around town and, you know, go to the coffee shop, go to the grocery store, or come into town to go to all those things. As well as we need those people that have the money to invest in business and, you know, the entrepreneurial skill, or at least the entrepreneurial spirit, to want to try something. And as I said, those tools, when I first opened up a business, I had to go to statistical data that you found that was 5 years out of date or whatever, to go to my banker and say, here's what I could find, here's what the demographics are of Middleton and surrounding area.
We hear you, Sabrina.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's.
We were
and that's what
talking
the
about it just
public comment,
before
yeah.
the council meeting, we were all sitting here talking
You're
about.
saying, and, you know, outside of pulling somebody in Middleton with a, by the hair of their head. No. It's gonna be hard, but we'll see what we can, I mean, we can only do what we can do.
Yes, sir.
We're glad you're here.
That's right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
but I say that everybody, like Middleton, you know, everybody are pessimists and they be negative about things, but let's focus on the positive things. I tell everybody, being a dad with young children, you know, Middleton, what do we have? We have 3 levels of education, we have grocery stores, everything's in walking distance. I say it's a great community for young families and seniors. How do we market that? And I agree with Councilor Bartlett and Councilor Archibald too. It's twofold between adding population to the community as well as trying to attract business. So it's like the Middleton Collaborative Practice when the Department of Health is building a new medical clinic. There are a lot of people in town that said, what a waste of money. You know, they're building this building, we need doctors. Well, the whole saying is, you know, if you build it, they will come. And sure enough, so my doctor happened to be there, unfortunately, to have a physician, but that building was at capacity. So they all tied together, you know, population, economic development. But Middleton is a great community. The other thing that we struggle with is we do recognize town taxes. And so there are people that will live outside Middleton, you know, that will pay county tax. But yet they'll drive and park in town. And they'll walk in town because it's 5 blocks to streetlights. They'll use their Rotary Park. They'll use our facilities, but don't want to live there. So that's we struggle trying to maintain all those things too. So it's like a household when you have a budget and you have so much income, you have the expenses, and that's where we all struggle. And me too, being a business owner, I just brought my check in the other day, and so
Get those fingers.
it was, yeah, it was, it's, yeah. So I will speak freely that it does sting some, no question. And but we can do better, and I think we can sell ourselves. And I think that 438 Main Street is a great start. The Northlands development, if that will start, you know, they've been given the green light, but again, you can't force someone to spend their money. So we hear you, not be clear. Yeah, we're with them. Okay,
It's
We're with you.
People got like,
yeah,
you're
Oh, yeah.
here, obviously, and that's, you know.
You're welcome anytime.
thank you,
Second, and
thank you.
You're welcome anytime to come to the council meetings. I'm here on Tuesday mornings from 11 to 2. If you want to come in and just chit chat, feel free to do that, or send us an email, and maybe you have come up with an idea that we can use or something like that. But we appreciate you coming in.
And any deliveries, feel free to come earlier. Chat, right? But anyway, thank you.
first and third Mondays of the month,
Yeah.
committee of the whole and council, unless it's a holiday.
Is there anybody else that want? How about you? You're just here to, just to listen?
I have a couple beeps.
We put him right to sleep.
Oh. You're not gonna talk tonight?
Well, I believe in Councilor Smith. He was talking about that and walking distance from everybody with the taxes so high. But you look at New Midas. They're expanding like crazy.
Oh, I know.
Why can't we get businesses down here?
I know. I don't know. I really, I wish I knew the answer to that
And they're
question.
growing. Why?
Yeah.
Their taxes are too high.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what it's been.
Well, a lot of that has to do with tax base too. They have a much greater number. If you
So
look
their
at,
taxes can be low.
Yeah,
you look at the taxes in Halifax, they're at 1.07%, I think.
Yeah.
So they're cheaper than what ours are here, but they have a much broader tax base.
It's- yeah.
You know, bigger geographical area. Middleton takes in, I don't know what the square kilometers is, but our boundaries aren't as such that we're ever gonna get to that point. We just hope that we can, you know, grow our population and our you know, in a town and some of our town business.
you know, there's only between 18 and 1900 people that live in Belfast. So this is who's paying taxes, including the like the businesses and the people that live here. And, I think we do a great job at supplying for the folks here. Yeah, our roads are crappy, I know. But listen, I went over that road in Greenwood today, and that's done, so it's no better. And I don't know how much they spend on that, but it's just, we only have so much money. And we try to do the best with them. And like I said, thanks for coming and thank you for that.
I will add just because this is not an issue that's unfamiliar with me type thing. Businesses account for a fairly significant portion of our actual budget in terms of the taxes that they do pay. We don't commit nearly in terms of a percentage to business oriented activities. And we do need to, as council, start paying attention to the needs of the business community. And I recognize that it's not going to be easy, but it has got to be on our agenda going forward to get a little more done than saying it costs too much. It's just, we charge our businesses a tax rate that in many cases is higher than the mortgage rate. We charge them more to own a business than the bank does to buy the business in the first place. And I understand our business are legitimate, serious and real, very present financial needs with the budget and stuff like that. That does not mean we can actually ignore the business community. If we ignore the, pardon me, if we ignore the business community and what they're saying, development is going to slow even more than we need. Slow even more than it already is. If we want to develop Northlands, you got to have a downtown community to come to, which includes retail shops, flower shops, cafes, restaurants, these sorts of things. These are the business community is part of our retail or our community infrastructure. And we have to get it onto what council's agenda, not next budget meeting. And there are things we can do that don't cost a ton of money. Start paying attention to some of those needs, even just as simple as having a meeting as council and the business community. It doesn't cost anything but a pot of coffee. And we haven't done that in 6-8 years type thing,
When we first started and only 3 businesses showed up.
Well, then time to do another one then. They just because it didn't work once. So we've got to start trying some of those things. And those are little things. And I recognize that it's not going to be, we're not going to solve this problem overnight, but we got to start somewhere. And I think that's something that we need to start putting on the agenda. If it's not going to be an economic development officer, then it means council as a whole is going to have to start figuring out how to do it.
Well, I would say business and building owners.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. I mean, I know when I renovated Bistro 300, I spent upwards $200,000 there. And my tax bill went up by quite a bit because I put value into the property. So
Yep.
a lot of building owners, which may not necessarily be the businesses themselves, if you rent or you lease a space, are hesitant to put money into a building, even though we want to, because me having a nicer looking building, me having a building that, not only brings in more customers, but makes the resale value better. But if
Right.
I'm gonna be faced with 20 or 25% more in my tax bill, it really is a deterrent. And I don't know, I know that these, those property valuations are not done by us, but it still affects us. I mean, nobody wants, most people, I think, most building owners want to be able to invest in their properties without having their tax bill go through the roof.
Okay. I think we've done, I think we're done.
7.1.
Yeah, 7.1 is right. And once again, thank you for coming. 7.1, RFD 052-2025, Middleton logo change, communication and events coordinator.
Ms. Pearson sends her regrets. She was ill today. Some bug going around the office, I believe. You don't know. Better way. So we wanted to bring forward some discussions of both rebranding and our logo. our communications and events coordinator had done some work on this back when she first started. We just didn't have a chance to get all this documentation done and in front of council. And initially, we were going to propose a couple different logos for council to choose from. We have used the new proposed logo a little bit. It's on our Facebook page and on some apparel that we have, and everybody seems to like it, I guess, internally, but we do recognize that council needs to kind of formally approve a logo change or ask us to go back and come up with something else if it's not what council likes. So there's just a bit of background there that talks about the last time we had a logo done was about 20 years ago. And it's actually at the top of the RFD there that you can see. It's a very italicized or scripted type font. And that no longer really aligns with the modern standards of accessibility and branding. So it's a little bit difficult to read, particularly in digital applications, doesn't meet best practices for accessible communication. So we have been trying to be thoughtful with all of our reports and memos and communication that we're using, either Calibri or I believe Arial is the other accessible type font. So like Times New Roman is not considered accessible anymore, as an example. So we tried to keep the original heart that kind of makes our logo pop a little bit, that heart for Heart of the Valley. That Heart of the Valley slogan is something that we have trademarked, and Gina's looking into whether that needs to be refreshed or what have you, because we're not sure. So we'll look into that. But in the meantime, we've attached Appendix A, which shows a few different versions of the town's logo. So one is on a navy background, and then the other one is on like a transparent type background. And then in Appendix B, there are some items there that we've identified where our logo is displayed, that we prioritize as high, medium, or low for replacement. So that council can just see some of the things that might need to be replaced in the future. There's not anything critical immediately that's going to be costly. Most of what needs to be updated is like our billing for taxes and water bills, all of our memos, letterhead, report style things. As I mentioned, most of our Facebook page has been updated. And then when the new website comes out, obviously that would go on there, but there's no extra cost to that. So I guess that's all I'll speak to with the RFD, and then if council wants to make a motion and have discussion, we can keep questions.
So the old, oh, sorry, we have to make a motion then, so.
I'll move the council approve the use and implementation of the new logo and its variations.
Second that.
Discussion. Sorry, Deb.
That's okay. No, and I agree with everything that's been said as far as the logo, that from my point of view. I just think it's something that should have come before council long before it was being utilized by staff.
Yep.
So it's something that council approves, so it's a logo that's out there that we haven't approved, so it's on apparel, it's on the website. Or it's on the Facebook page, which I think is great, but I think it should have come before council before then.
Yep, and that's on me. I asked Regina to kind of rebrand our Facebook page to make it look a little different and consistent from a communications perspective. And part of that was her trying to get the font looking more accessible. And that's what we came up with. And then we kind of got swamped with summer activities and we didn't get it here, and we should have. So.
Counselor?
I'm just gonna be,
It's
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Counselor Smith.
Sorry.
Council.
Simple matter.
No, you go ahead, Deb.
Companies generally don't change their logos. Nike has been the swoosh since time began. And there's a million other things. I understand the accessibility issues of this particular font. I would dare say that the kids in school probably can't read it because they don't learn cursive writing anymore.
Right.
So I can, as an old fuddy-duddy, I can accept that we need to modernize it to some extent. I would be dead set against losing our moniker of Heart of the Valley. I think that is our heart and soul, pardon the pun, of this town and has been for 100 years. Plus,
Or, sorry, would you say our monarch,
moniker.
moniker?
Logo.
Tagline.
Tag, yeah.
Oh, okay,
It's a
yeah,
trademark.
Yeah.
that's still in there.
I know,
Yeah.
but you started to hint towards whether we were gonna give that a refresh as well.
No,
No.
we need to check to see if it's something we have to refresh, like every 10 years or every 15 years. I don't know that it's been done. So we need
Just
to,
re-trademark it? or-
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we just have to look into whether we need to fill out paperwork again to get it like re-trademarked.
I-
So we're trying to figure out if it expired,
I-
and if it has, we're gonna
Okay, I
Yeah.
interpreted
Redo it.
you to say that you were looking at.
No, no,
changing
no,
it as
no,
well.
no.
Because I think that would be
yeah.
detrimental to our history and to our identity.
Right.
No, we just,
Agree.
I found some documentation in us doing this, there's a policy or there's something, a policy document that
That's fine.
speaks about the slogan. And it just made me question, like with everything else, like we pay for, yeah, does it have to be like renewed or refreshed? Like over a certain period of time, so we're gonna find that out and we're just gonna automatically
That's fine.
refresh it.
I do echo the deputy's comments that we did put the cart before the horse on this whole process, and that's a bit disappointing, but let's get it corrected and move
Yeah.
forward.
Yes,
Sorry, I'm nitpicky on this, just one thing, what, was there a reason we dropped town of and just went with Middleton Heart of the Valley? And I gotta be honest, I prefer the old script, but I'm a cranky old man, so
okay.
I like that it's in code and that you kids can't read it.
Just like less words, we looked at what some other municipalities are doing and everybody seems to be keeping it short. But we could certainly add town of back to it.
I just was wondering if there was a reason for that,
Just,
or that it was,
just trying to keep it simple and
Yeah.
readable. Yes.
For everybody.
Less is more.
Yeah.
If we
No,
ever,
That's the-
All I was gonna make a comment on, when I first saw the new logo, I wondered about the town of. And then I talked to the CAO, so I went on and visited other municipal units with their logo, i.e. the town of Wolfville, the town of Berwick, and those places and around, and that's what they've come up with being fairly simplistic.
Yeah,
It's a different time, I guess.
Yeah. less words, because you know,
But them too.
it's gotta fit on your phones.
well, and it does allow for future changes in the municipal structure if they were ever to come about.
Right. I like that the heart got,
Yeah, I
I
like
like
that.
that the heart is still there. And it's in a readable way.
Right.
I guess, because we kind of maintain the integrity of the heart, which was kind of an important part of our logo.
Right.
And I think
That's what I interpreted.
And I think former council by the name of Melinda Denham would probably be happy, because I believe that she was involved with the current logo we have with that heart
Yeah.
design, so, yes. Yeah. Not know if she's listening to that.
Probably not.
But one of the,
Just-
I guess an option, we could have put it down as an alternative, but it, like, if council doesn't like this logo, we can certainly go back, take that and go back and try to come up with a few different other options. We certainly haven't changed enough that would impact anything.
Well, I like. I think it's good, it's simple, it's straightforward.
Yeah.
And whatever we put out there. And I like it in the blue and not with,
But the motion on the floor is for this.
yes. It Council now.
Are these three different logos is what you're talking about, what we see here with the blue background and then transparent and then just the heart? Is that the three different logos?
It's the
Or it's
same,
the same
it's the
one?
same logo, it's just one's a transparent version, so like if you had a white background or like a beige sweater, you would put the
Right.
the second one, 1.1, but perhaps on letterhead, we would put the thing with the blue background.
So we're approving this whole
Oh,
entire.
It's the same
It's the
thing,
whole
just different
entire-
variations.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Against? Motion carried.
And that goes to council, so it's
Yeah.
just committee of the whole
Oh,
anyways,
yeah.
but.
Yeah. Okay. 7.2. Interest rate on overdue taxes, CAO.
Thank you, Mayor. This was something that was brought to my attention from our contract accountant, Kevin. He pointed out that the interest rate that we charge on overdue tax bills is quite high in comparison to other municipal units around us. And it's also not consistent, not that it has to be consistent, but it is not consistent with what we charge on water bills, which is okay, just to be clear, because the water utility is a separate entity from the town. But it does make it a little bit easier for everybody if the rates were to be the same. So there's some background there, in the RFD, but basically, I didn't catch this either, but we don't have a policy that sets this. It's actually something that was part of that big, long budget resolution that we passed at budget time. And I attached in the RFD there a copy of the resolution with the section that talks about the interest rate highlighted. And honestly, I never looked at where that came from or like why it was set at that rate. Since I've been here, we've just been changing the deadline and not looking at where the 24% came from. So he brought this forward to me and asked if I thought we should bring it forward to council and ask to have it reduced. So the motion on the floor is that council approve charging an interest rate of 1.5% per month. Or any portion thereof on all outstanding balances of taxes and other charges on the tax roll to be effective November 1st, 2025. So we don't want to backdate that because it would create a lot of work for the finance department. But given that if committee of the whole chooses to recommend this to council, it would go October 20th, and then we could have it in place for November 1st. So we did recommend 1.5% for a couple reasons. One, it is what we charge on overdue accounts for our water utility billings. And that 1.5% on the water utility bills is a percentage that is set out in our water rate study that just got approved. And obviously the mechanism by which we set the rate for taxes is resolution. And then secondly, after Kevin did some research of surrounding areas, he found that most charge between 1% and 1.5%. So to try to make things a little bit easier on residents that can't pay their bills on time, staff are recommending reducing it from the 2 to 1.5.
I'll move the council approve charging an interest rate of 1.5% per month or any portion thereof on all outstanding balances of taxes and other charges on the tax roll effective November 1st, 2025.
Discussion?
I have one point. About 3 months after I became a counselor, I brought up this exact same thing, as well as the fact that if you're a day late, you're charged for the whole month. Then I was told there was nothing that they could do because of our accounting software, because of the policy in place. So 7 years later, I'm glad to see that this is now being changed.
Our accounting program is probably still true, that it's hard to change the calculations of that, but
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but it's changed.
All those, sorry.
Just wanted to, probably just a reminder, to put that on council highlights. It's gonna be significant.
yep, we review all the motions that council makes, but that won't happen until the end of the month, because this is just committee of the whole.
This, yeah, committee of the whole hasn't passed through council yet. All those in favor?
Uh,
Against? Motion carried. 7.3 RFD 054 2025 award our tender for fire department utility truck deputy fire chief.
So I'm actually gonna be presenting that tonight,
Oh, okay.
because Scott Vino was unable to be here tonight. I did ask our other.
I'm gonna be in
two-
conflict on this, so I'm gonna jump over.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure if Counselor Archibald's actually in conflict.
I don't think so either.
I think what we did learn was that it's not up to anybody else to decide that.
All right, fair, to avoid the appearance of, yeah, but I just want, I just.
And on the same lens of that, if you're wondering why Mike and Jody are not presenting this RFD, it's because they both work for Bruce GM, who was the only tender submission for our tender. So what we did to maintain no conflict of interest or appearance thereof, we had Scott Vino and our Director of Public Works, Adam Varon, review the tenders and do the scoring, and Scott did this RFD, and then I added my flair to it. So Jody and Mike have been kept completely out of any recommendation on this tender, just so anybody's aware, but I did ask them to be here tonight because if council has technical questions about the truck, I'm not gonna be able to answer those. We had in the 5-year capital plan for 26-27 a replacement of the fire department utility truck. Chief Mike Toole came forward and asked if we could do this year. Because the fire department had a meeting and wanted to replace the truck with firefighter 50/50 money. So this truck isn't being funded by town money per se. But because the fire department acts as a department of the town, they are still required to follow our purchasing policies and procedures. And council, so there's 2 motions here. Council will have to approve a supplemental budget for the replacement of the truck, because this was not a project that was included in the 25-26 capital plan. And so staff are not authorized to execute any projects in the 5-year plan that are in years 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is step 1 that would need to happen. And I will say that as part of that project, there are 3 components to that project. So there is the purchase of the truck, which is step 1. And then there is an emergency lighting package that has to go on the truck, as well as a truck cap. And so those 2 things are gonna be procured separately in accordance with our procurement and purchasing policy. And are in the range of $15,000 to $30,000 a piece. So I'll be working with fire chief to procure those 2 items. But step 1 is the truck. So we did place a tender on the provincial procurement site. It's high value procurement because it's a good over $25,000. It was posted September 5th. It closed September 26th. We only got 1 response from Bruce GM. As I mentioned, it was evaluated by Deputy Chief Scott Vino and Director of Public Works Adam Varon. A summary of the evaluation is attached. So we didn't necessarily do any scoring because there was only 1 bid. What they did instead was review the entire submission, made sure that it met the requirements of our tender, and then looked at the price and made sure that the price was reasonable. And the fire department had a meeting last week to confirm that the membership approved using firefighter 50/50 money for that cost and that truck. And that letter is also attached to the RFD. Now 1 small change from, and I see I have a typo in the RFD, sorry. But 1 small change from the original project estimate, which the capital project is included as well, was that we originally estimated it at $125,000, not 1.25 million, as I see I have a typo here. And so the fire department's just suggesting increasing that by $25,000 to $150,000, just to make sure that we come within budget. But again, the whole thing is going to be funded by firefighters 50/50 money. And I think that's all the pertinent information. So we got the 1 bid, and so part 1 of this RFD is that council approved the project in its entirety as a 25-26 supplemental capital project. And that has 3 components, of which 1 is the truck procurement. So the second motion of this RFD is awarding the tender so that they can procure the truck.
I'll move the council approve a supplemental budget of $150,000 before HST for replacement of the fire department 2007 utility truck.
Discussion?
So the 150, sorry, just so that I get it right, includes the truck and the light and cap
Yeah,
package,
that's right.
okay? I just wanted to make sure, because, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna ask, can those things be moved from the current truck to the new truck? The cap and the lights? Different size, different.
Yeah, so we're talking 19 years between.
They
You
change
think
those
there's a
things,
change?
you can't.
Yeah,
Was-
we always think of that stuff, trust me, but.
No,
So-
no.
So that brings up one other question I would have, Madam Mayor, is what will happen to the old truck?
So John, I need to, we're probably looking at probably like 3 months before I'll have the new one somewhat in service, just delay it parts and all that stuff. At that point, it was bought by us originally in 2007. Obviously, every time we buy something, it belongs to, it's on your guys' books for a town asset, so the lead policy will be to dispose of the truck asset when your actual
Yep,
policy.
so there's a couple of options we talked about actually, and I believe council asked us this question at the last meeting. And I didn't email a response back, even though I did email you asking, because I couldn't remember, because I knew it would come up tonight. But we talked about potentially Public Works using the truck and seeing if Public Works could use the truck. Or it would have to go through a asset surplus sale. So we can't simply just sell it, like with all capital assets, we're obligated to do an asset surplus sale, and then the proceeds from the sale have to go into a capital reserve to be used on future replacement of assets. So,
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
there's a second motion.
I'll move the council award the tender for a new 1-ton 4x4 truck to Bruce GM for $84,791.01, including HST.
Second.
1 cent.
I know, because something, it's a county, it's gotta be specific, Dan.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of. Any discussion?
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Maybe the old one we use as a decoy for that.
Just leave the keys in it, and I'm sure it'll go away.
Oh, yeah.
Something if they don't even have their gas.
Jeez.
Here, tag.
7.3, RFD 054. We already, 2025, dangerous and unsightly policy.
Thank you, Mayor. So this RFD is being brought forward as a result of us signing the agreement with the County of Annapolis to have them do our bylaw enforcement services. So right off the hop, they are gonna do our dangerous and unsightly premises, which is a policy, and then our noise and farm animal bylaws. They already do our animal control bylaws, and there's a separate agreement for that. This council on September 15th did appoint Ashley Gervais as the town's dangerous and unsightly administrator. So previously this role was done by me and the Director of Public Works. So I did have a meeting with the county last week with regards to policies, this policy and our noise bylaw and our farm animal bylaw. And I believe we have drafted a new farm animal bylaw that will be coming to council next council meeting. The existing bylaw that we have was done in 1969. So it does need a bit of a refresh. The good news on the dangerous and unsightly policy is our dangerous and unsightly policy was already extremely similar to the county's. Mainly because the regulations for dangerous and unsightly come from the Municipal Government Act. So most municipal units have very similar policies. But we did chat about trying to make our policies and bylaws the same as the counties if it made sense for us. Just so the bylaw enforcement officers didn't have to always remember that there was 2 sets of rules to apply in 2 different places. So I did go through their entire policy and our entire policy. And there was only a few notable changes. So the first one was that our current policy specifically stated that council would delegate authority to an employee of the town, so we had to remove that wording, obviously, because we're gonna delegate the authority for dangerous and unsightly to employee of the county of Minneapolis. And then the second one is that we had in our policy that we would provide an update to council every month. Committee of the whole doesn't even meet every month, but the county has in theirs at least once quarterly. But they indicated to me that sometimes their council wants to see updates on a more regular basis, and they just ask and they give them more more frequently if their council wants it. So we changed ours to at least once quarterly. And then the third one was in our policy, it required remedy of dangerous and unsightly premises within 15 days. Which I was a bit surprised at when I first took over administration of the policy, because that's a really tight turnaround for some people to clean up their properties, depending on what the issue is with them. So the wording has been updated based on the county policy to say the notice shall state what is required to remedy the unsightly or dangerous condition and require them to contact the administrator or an investigator within 30 days of the date of the notice. And then the order or letter will outline how long they have to remedy the property. So those were the major changes. There was a revamping of sections, but within the RFD, I attached our current policy and then the new draft one, so that council could read the changes. And in doing that, I also put the dangerous and unsightly premises policy in our new template, which I think is a little bit easier to read than our old template. So every time we bring a policy forward, we're trying to update it. And then I also just have in the RFD that this presentation to committee of the whole does serve as the notification, the 7-day notification that's required to council under the MGA. That'll be brought forward for council's consideration on October 20th.
Any questions? Okay,
Time the council approved the proposed revisions to the dangerous and unsightly premises policy.
I'll second it.
question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. And RFD 056/2025, reservoir construction change order number 3, CAO.
Thank you, Mayor. This one shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but we did finally get the invoices from our contractors, subcontractor for the tank, including the cap or the roof. Which everybody is aware that those were procured in the United States, so they did get tariffed at the border. There's a few invoices there, actually all the backup that we received from our contractor is there. Our project manager, CBCL, and our director of public works reviewed all of that paperwork with the contractor to make sure it was in good order. And then I guess from the perspective of the tariff relief, I still don't have an answer. We did submit that basically immediately when we found out that we were getting tariffed. As you know, we left it at the border as long as we could, hoping that the tariff situation would go away. But then it became imminent that we get it here, because otherwise we were going to get dinged with delay of contract penalties from our contractor. So we did leave it at the border for almost 2 months, I think, as long as we could, to hope that the relief, hope that the tariffs just went away through the Canadian and US governments working together, but they didn't. So we did apply for the tariffs. We've had probably several emails from the organization. It's called the Canadian Relief Center. I can't remember, but we do have someone finally that is actually emailing us back and telling us the status of our application. Not really the status, but they've come back with quite a few questions, like clarification, like why do we have to procure it in the US and things like that. So through our project manager, CBCL, and our director of public works and myself, we've answered all of their questions, and it's been probably 3 or 4 weeks now since we answered their final questions. CBCL has followed up with them a couple times saying, when are we going to find out or get a response? But we have been told that these decisions for tariff relief require ministerial approval at the federal level. So that's why it could be taking a bit long. We are hopeful that they'll get approved because this was a critical infrastructure project. We didn't really have choice based on our contract because the contract we approved had our contractor using Aquastore, which was procuring it from a subcontractor in the States. And we awarded that contract over a year ago when the tariffs were not in place. And so when we found out the tariffs were in place, it's not like we could break our multi-million-dollar contract with Roscoe to simply get the tank somewhere else. So that wasn't an option. The Canadian government knows that because they asked a lot of those types of questions. So we are just simply waiting to hear back. The UARB, I know it's not called that anymore. It's actually called the Regulatory and Appeals Board now. They had a name change apparently, but to me in my head, it's always going to be the UARB. Yes. So the UARB is aware of this because that is what we got back as some questions when we first had our water rate study meeting with the UARB. There was, I forget the name of them, that there was two, they're not called injunctions, but they were extra things that we had to provide. But that was one of them, was the actual final cost of the tariff. So they are aware of this and they approved our rate study anyways, knowing that we were going to cover it through surplus. If we do in fact have to pay for it. So this is embedded into our new rates already. But if we get relief from the government, it'll just mean that we won't have to use our surplus on it. And then I guess I also mentioned in the financial implication section that we did put a 10% contingency in our approval request to the UARB, and we're still within that, so we haven't gone over that. And then there is a summary there of the change orders to date. So this is change order number 9. And it's obviously the largest one, but it's not really anything to do with our contractor at all. It's just simply fees that we got hit with at the border that were unexpected. And we did have legal review. I did have our lawyer review the contract to make sure that we were in fact responsible for this cost, and we are contractually. So we're bringing this forward because, and this is going to special counsel after as well as the fire department truck tender. But we're bringing this forward to council because I want council to be aware of what all the change orders are on the project and have insight and transparency.
This project's still on time?
I don't think it's done. It's probably not quite done.
Yeah, if you've been by, it looks
Let's
pretty,
see.
it's good.
I was by the other day, there's still a big gaping hole in the bottom that they're still
Oh,
putting
now.
in a piece.
Oh.
But
Not this morning, it
It's
was.
just gone up another level, I think.
Yeah.
did they? Nice. All right.
Very nice.
Are we gonna use our new logo on the side?
Get it
Well,
straight
to
paint.
save money, I took the logo off of the reservoir. It
Oh.
saved us like $25,000 in cost.
Yeah.
$25,000 for logo
All on the
on
side.
tank.
Yes.
I offered to go and paint the logo myself to save
It's a
$25.
big old sense.
That's
Just to be
great.
clear, if you're
I'll-
watching, we did not spend $24,000 to paint a logo on a water tank.
Something like that. It was quite astronomical. And
That's cheap.
we,
Yeah.
when we did the tender, before we posted the tender, I asked them to take that out.
Wow.
See if the art class.
I was gonna say, while it was on in the
So they
low
couldn't get
position.
rid of
we
the
could've
lever.
got-
Would have got paint night to go with that.
You probably turn it over.
And a question about that.
We haven't had a motion yet.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I don't mean to be.
No, you're very correct.
So somebody gonna make the motion?
We don't want to.
Well,
You don't want to. Oh.
No, I don't, I'm not, no, I'm not changing order.
I'll move the council approve,
That's-
authorize and approve change order number 9 for the new reservoir project as presented, totaling $156,929.33, including HST.
Discussion. Yes. Councilor Span.
What are the mechanics of this if we pay this? And then we get approved tariff relief? Do we get a check from the government? Or do we have to get the check back from the supplier who gets the check from the?
I think it's a flow through because it had to be the organization that actually brought the tank across the border that had to technically be the applicant. But we've myself and Adam and CPCL have been answering most of the questions on the contract side of things.
So how comfortable are we that we will get that flowed through?
Well, it has our name attached to the application. So fairly comfortable.
You'll let us know, right?
Yes.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Just talking about signage, I'm just curious, this is a provincially funded project. And usually with any type of government funded projects, they like to have a sign that indicates that the government is spending money in your community. I'm just surprised that that wasn't a caveat or anything we had to have done.
Not that I'm aware of in accordance with the grant agreement that we signed. That was through the MCGP or Municipal Capital Growth Fund. I can take a look, but I don't recall that being.
Because I've had many people prior to the being actually constructed now, what's going on Junction Road? Well, that's gonna be our new reservoir.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just curious, because usually any of these projects, even when we did some things on Main Street, when we did the sewer remediation with the lining, there was a sign down by, well, what was the Bell Line building? It wasn't very big, like it had to, I was just curious, because there is nothing to indicate, other than we know what it is,
Yeah.
most people now know, but it doesn't indicate what the project is.
No,
We'll probably put up a sign that says, like, we have a sign that goes into the brush dump as an example, like, we'll probably put up a sign there eventually that says town of Milton Reservoir. But we'll wait until they finish landscaping and finish it.
Just because it says it in the actual motion, and I thought I might have misunderstood one of the invoices. Did we get charged HST on the tariff itself?
I think that's how it works at the border,
We
yeah.
get tax on top of tax. Okay.
Tariff is not called a tax, it's
No.
a tariff.
that's a tariff.
It's
That's
not a
different
tax.
thing.
We use Canadian English, that
So
the
that
tariff is
is
a
it.
tax.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Against? Motion carried. Yeah, well, yeah, I know. 8.1, dangerous and unsightly status report as of September 2025, so the AO.
There's been no updates to this report, I just included it, but there was no new properties to add. And this report is going to look a little bit different moving forward, because when the county takes over, dangerous unsightly, they're gonna have their own style of report. And I guess the first time we present it, if council has feedback to it, I'll take some notes and give it back to them, but they're gonna need some time to kind of get up to speed on our files, go around and review all the properties themselves and decide what action needs to be taken moving forward. But I have sat with them, and step one is getting our policy updated so it's consistent with them. And I believe Sarah's already started putting stuff on a USB stick for them, because they're gonna maintain the files at their office similar to what they do with their building and fire inspection files. So they just need to pick that up and start reviewing the files, and I assume I'll have to answer some questions and.
Yes,
When are we supposed to start? I thought it was supposed to be the 1st of September.
Technically, yes, it was, but where they had the wildfire in August, their bylaw enforcement officers were quite busy with they don't call it the pounds at the animal care facility.
Yes.
And then they did lose their manager of protective services around the same time, so we were just a little bit late getting the transition meeting completed. So yeah, the policy needs to be updated, and then they need our files, and then they're gonna get rolling.
8.2, community concerns complaints as of September 2025. So you know, yeah,
There was a couple new ones added here. Those ones have been since complete. And then there's still a couple on there that are considered in progress, so we did send a letter to the needs, but the sign is still there. I look every day, doing for work. So may have to just pop in there and mention it. And then the sidewalk, we got a complaint about the sidewalk that goes from Tim's to Needs. But council did have a strategic priority that we need to prioritize all of our road infrastructure and sidewalk infrastructure and rank it as, you know,
Priority,
high,
not
yeah,
separate.
priority. So we do understand that there's some residents that have come forward asking for new sidewalks to be put in place. There's some residents that have come forward that have expressed concern about existing sidewalks, but we really do need someone to go around and actually perform an assessment of all the sidewalks and rank them. And then we really should be prioritizing replacing the most critical pieces. And this might be one that gets ranked as red, but it might not be. So we don't really want to address this until we have that list and can get back to the complainant and say, okay, this is what it was categorized as, and this is roughly when it may be replaced.
8.3 Town General and Water Utility Financial Report as of the end of August 2025.
So this is the financial report that is gonna come to the committee of the whole every month. So we do have 5 months worth of financial data reported in this one. So the last time we presented this, it was up until the end of June, so now up until the end of August, so we are slowly catching up with our accounting. Well, not slowly, actually, the staff have caught up fairly quickly since the audit's been over. So making a lot of headway, so yeah, I mean, they're working on September now and we're just into the beginning of October. So there's not a whole lot to report that was different than last time. There, under town general revenue there's a bit of a variance under services provided to other governments because we had budgeted receiving $35,000, which was a portion of our operating grant for the fire department in August, but it didn't come in until September. So just a timing difference, but it did come in. So in doing these reports, it's actually helpful because the finance team is following up on some items and making sure that we get grants that we've applied for and everything's recorded properly. And then on the water side of things, there's nothing major to report there either. So things are looking fairly good.
Any questions? And 8.4, memo to council and CEO re-water rate approvals.
So this was a memo that I had asked Kevin to put together because we did get confirmation that our water rate study was approved. So this letter sort of highlights what the impact of the water rate study was. And we will have to get copies of the order and the decision on our website, which probably will happen this week. And get a communication out there that will accompany the water, like the water bills that will go out, because we are due to get water bills out here very soon for the July, August, September quarter. Now the new rates won't start until October 1st, so the billing that goes out very soon will still be at the old rates, but we will include a notice of some type, whether it be on the bill itself or part of the beat or a separate notice. We will include some sort of communication to residents that their next bill, they will see some increases as a result of the water rate study. And that water rate study was advertised on our Facebook page, website, in accordance with the UARB's rules, but we didn't have any public show up to the actual hearing that was held here. So that's just a notice, but just wanted to communicate it to council.
Any questions about that? No? Okay. Anything by members? That's not.
I got a few things here, actually. And I know we're running late, so I'll try to be quick. So I had a resident of Gates Avenue come in and other notes here. She would watch our presentation or committee meeting, the last one, and she was concerned about the possibility of a tiny home development along the area around the rink there. I kind of explained to her that it didn't seem to be the council, whether there's any avenue for that, but that it would have to go to development committee and stuff like that beforehand. I encouraged her to contact the town for clarification on this sort of stuff. She also talked about had concerns about the noise and with people parking and doing burnouts and stuff like that in the library parking lot. Was another, which we're aware of, same thing, but I told her I would bring it up again. Had another resident come in and asked about the timing of the police advisory board meetings. They were concerned that basically at 11 o'clock in the they wanted to attend, but the 11 o'clock in the morning was not a convenient time for anybody that's working to attend an important committee meeting in terms of accessibility type thing. I'll leave that one for next. I'll cover those two next, because I know we're short on time.
So just for that last one, our 2 PAB members should be taking that forward to the PAB.
Councilor Bartles. Councilor Smith.
Got a couple of things I want to report on, one being a week ago Saturday morning. I arrived at Rotary Park to do our 9 o'clock Learn to Run program, and it had been evident that our mischievous individuals of town had been at it again. There were probably 3 dozen empty cans strewn about the parking lot. There was a couple of empty boxes of beer and alcoholic beverage boxes that were strewn about. There was probably a 12 to 14-inch speaker that had been driven over and in several pieces by that point in time. There were numerous fresh ruts in our somewhat newly repaired parking lot. So I did call the police because it was chirping in my head that, hey, see something, say something. So I called the 2000 number and went through the approval process that I was a real person, and she said she'd have somebody contact me. To my surprise, they did, and actually arrived before I left the park at 10 o'clock. So a member came in, and I'll say unfortunately our one of our staff members had already cleaned up the park, but we still had the bag of garbage there to present as evidence that it was there. And so I had a little chat with him and explained to him who I was and that it's an ongoing issue. And his first comment was, we weren't aware that there were any problems in this area. So that was incredibly disappointing. Like he said, there's really nothing I can do about this now. He said, but I do think somebody was arrested last night and held in cells overnight. I've been trying for 2 weeks now, or 10 days, to try to confirm that, but I haven't been able to get any answers as to whether somebody was actually taken into custody over the events that had occurred the night before. So I just want to bring council up to date that that's occurred again. We've got a little bit of movement from our local law enforcement, but really the result was just disappointing because this particular member wasn't aware that this was a hot button topic. Secondly, and I'm not going to talk long about this one, but I attended the police advisory board meeting a couple of Thursdays ago here in these chambers, along with a few of our fellow councilors. And disappointed would be an understatement. I didn't like the way the meeting went. I didn't like the chair's comments that he thought the police were doing a fantastic job. I didn't like that he limited audience participation to 2 minutes. And I didn't like his attitude towards them not being there to criticize the police. Which I don't think any of us were trying to do. We were trying to make the police aware of the issues in our town that are not being taken care of. We have received supplemental communication that the chair took forward to our senior police individual in town. That just further supported the idea that they're not listening to us, because the comment from the senior RCMP member in that email chain was that it's good to know about this issue of partying in the park. And we'll put a plan forward to take care of it. Well, how many times have we been screaming about this all along? I'm not impressed with the joint PAB that I have attended. And I'm not gonna say anything further about that tonight, but I think you all know where I would like to go with that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Knapp,
I have nothing.
wow,
Right?
good for you,
I know.
good for you. Councilor Foy,
I wanna follow up on some of the things that, Mr. Smith had said. I'm disappointed as well, because I have spoken about the road requirement, at P. I spoke with, Staff Sergeant, Maxwell a couple of days ago, and I believe that he was taking what he heard seriously. For me, I did a two-page statement that I sent to him, asked for. He said he has, he has a plan in place in his mind, and that, he talked a little bit about that. I think that, I told him that I thought it was a serious situation. I live across the street from it. There are people that have come to me in my neighborhood, they're afraid to go to the park, afraid of what's happening in the park, and I'm one of those people. He did say that he was going to take it seriously. I hope he does. I believe he does. One of the things that, he did say is that this is a town problem, an RCMP problem, this is a everybody problem, and we have to come up with something together. Anyone? I don't know, I think that the town agrees with that. And so I feel a little more positive. I'm guessing because I had a chance to talk to him individually. I'm surprised that it sounds like you're getting the impression that they didn't know anything about it, but it has been communicated. I know that I have called. And a couple of my neighbors have called as well, although a couple of them are afraid to do it. So I hope that's the plan.
thank you. Deputy Mayor,
Thank you. I do have a couple of things, and while we're still, I wasn't really gonna comment too much on the police advisory board meeting, but I will just I do have a couple of comments. I too attended the police advisory board meeting with some members of council. And unfortunately, the mayor had to leave at 12 o'clock. I realized due to situational situations that the RCMP are tied up, but I thought it was a bit disheartening that you have a police advisory board meeting and the RCMP member can't get there for a meeting at 11 o'clock when everyone else is taking time off work out of their schedule to get there. So that, and I've been involved in emergency services, so I'm somewhat familiar with those things. And if you can't get there, then hopefully you have somebody else. But I just felt that, showing up mid-presentation, what wasn't respectful to the people in the gallery, nor to the people that were actually involved in the meeting. That was the first police advisory board meeting I've been to in 9 years since I've been on council. I personally didn't think the meeting went very well. And I've expressed my comments to both the mayor and the CAO. And I too have questions about our representation on that committee. Not from councilors, I just mean it as a joint police advisory board committee, and I do echo some of the comments from Councillor Smith. That you know, there are some people that feel that you know, from a rural perspective, that the RCMP are doing a fine job. But from more of a rural urban perspective, some people don't feel they're doing the best they could. So for $1.4 million, reasons of why we could do better. So moving on from that. One thing came up today. I had a resident come in twice today while I wasn't there. And we talked about the town as far as being, you know, pretty and welcoming. So there's a lot of residents this time of year that do yard and leaf and brush cleanup. So it was mentioned to me, you know, what are we doing this year with the current brush dump and leaf dump being closed? So a couple of options that was suggested was that would there be, you know, with Public Works on a certain day, you know, go and do, so I think some consideration needs to be given to brush and leaf cleanup for fall, especially with storm drains. Like Public Works would always, before a large storm, would go along and clean up storm drains. So just like some property owners and some business owners that are, you know, concerned about leaf and brush debris. So just some consideration given to, could there be a day announced that Public Works would go around and throw compost bags on the back of the truck? Or could it be supervised times at the brush dump that the Public Works staff are there and they could assist with, you know, so just wondering if there's some consideration that can be given to that.
Yep.
Since this is
I'll
almost
ask,
the middle.
I'll ask. I think our thought was that people could just promote for the fall cleanup, which is in a few weeks.
Yeah,
No,
in
November.
Yeah,
So-
early November, I think.
yeah, we're gonna need to do something, like we're doing stuff now.
Yeah,
So it's not gonna wait until November. I think we need to do something in the interim, like whether you have like one day a week or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be, but this resident was concerned that, you know, what are we gonna do? So I don't think waiting for fall pickup is satisfactory.
Okay, I'll have to talk to
We'll have to
Adam.
come up- Yes, it's just some consideration to
yeah,
be given.
that's right, yes.
And
thank
I'm
you.
not sure that Valley Waste does leaf pickup anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
I don't think they do.
No, because most people, hello, sorry,
I put one bag out of leaves and they took it.
did they?
Oh, but you are allowed, like, for compost, yes, but if you had 4 or 5 bags,
Oh, yeah.
yes, that's where I'm going, with, yeah.
Oh, well, it was nice.
That might be, yes, if
Yeah.
we can, but yes, maybe if.
Yeah.
If.
Or maybe they might feel sorry for us,
Well,
and be
just
helpful.
in light of the current, you know.
Conditions, yes.
Yes, yeah, just that the residents do have a valid concern. I said, well, you know, I never thought about that either.
Yeah, just our other concern was we don't want a wildfire.
No,
So,
we
Right,
don't
that's
need
why I'm
one.
offering supervised,
Yeah.
you know, whether people go there and it's either supervised or maybe, you know, there's a time.
The river bag.
That's right, so say on like Friday, you know, whatever day, you know, if you put your bags of leaves out, you know, they'll get picked up.
yeah, I'll have to talk to Adam about staff capacity because he's down with staff. And they're trying to do that Connaught, Park Street valve project this week, so there's something that they can probably do it, but something else is not gonna get done. Just because they're
Or-
short staffed.
Or the option would be is have, if it's a staffing issue, have have residents bring their leaves to the brush dump site, but have staff be there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just the
that
staff
takes-
has to be there.
There,
well,
someone
that's
to
one
keep us
person
out.
instead of seven.
Yeah,
Well, we don't have several to start with.
I was, but I think some consideration.
I'll ask. Yeah.
If I may, I have also observed that if you just put your leaf in at the end of your property, some farmer or other individual will.
well,
come
they
out
do
and
that
Yeah.
too,
Take
yeah,
them as well.
If they're in bags, they will, yeah.
Yeah.
I have done that myself on Commercial Street.
Yeah.
If they're in bags and put them out there.
there, everybody,
Some person.
Somebody
Yeah.
likes them,
They come
somebody
get
wants them.
yeah,
Perfect.
They use it for compost.
Last year I gave bags 20, more than 20, 40 bags of leaves to someone who was using it for insulation.
Oh,
Around
so
the-
there's always that
Yes.
opportunity as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
the ones from the,
Yeah.
when we do our leaves, and then they wheel over to the school and go back.
Thank you, Bruce, that's all I had.
Okay, okay. Alrighty, so, this comes to the end of our committee of the whole meeting. We're gonna go right into a special council meeting. And so I'll, call this to order.
I need to.
Oh, sorry, that's right. We need to adjourn this one. So there's nothing further to come to our board for business. I say we are adjourned. So I will call this special council meeting to order, and I ask for approval of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. We'll have a general election in 3 years, so we hopefully you'll get the information that you floated here and.
I come back,
Good.
Sure, except not-
Okay.
but I'm there.
Perfect.
Or you can watch it online too when you're in Newfoundland.
Yes.
7:30 is my mind.
Okay, so we've had it second. All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay, the new business is the RFD 054 2025, the award of the tender
And
for the Department of Four by 45.
and I'll be in conflict on this one.
Yes, because now we're approving.
So this RFD was previously presented tonight. I don't think I need to go over it again, but there is two separate motions there that need to be made. One where council approves the project, and then the second one to award the tender.
I'll move the council approve a supplemental budget of $150,000 before HST for the replacement of the fire department's 2007 utility truck.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried.
Move council award the tender for the new 1-ton 4x4 truck to Bruce GM for $84,791.01, including HST.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, so now we're gonna go in camera. Oh, sorry. Got one more.
The change orders.
3.2. RFD 56 2025 reservoir construction change order number 3.
Again, just went over this RFP at committee of the whole earlier tonight. Just looking for a motion for council to approve the change order for change order number 9 for the tariffs.
I'll move that council authorize and approve change order number 9 for the new reservoir project as presented, totaling $156,929.33, including HST.
Second.
We call it number 3 in the title, but
Yeah.
9 in the.
That's
Yeah, I guess it was the third round of change order, like the third report to council on change orders.
oh, okay. Alrighty,
You got a second?
all those in, we got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Motion carried. Alright. So we are gonna move into in camera. So that concludes our live streaming of today's council meeting. Our next meeting will be town council meeting on Monday, October 20th, 2025. The agenda package will be posted on the town's website on Friday, October 17th. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or ideas that you would like to have addressed during anything by citizens, part of the agenda, please submit them to ea@town.middleton.ns.ca by noon on Monday, October 20th, 2025. Thank you for watching.